Does the sound of budgeting make you cringe? Does it make you feel like you're on a spending diet with no freedom? Well, maybe the way that you have thought about budgeting is literally all wrong. Today, we are reframing the way that we think about budgeting. You're listening to Business by the Books, the podcast that teaches you how to use your financials to manage your business. My name is Danielle Hayden, CPA and founder of Kickstart Accounting Inc., where we use bookkeeping as a vehicle to help business owners take control of their numbers. And I've helped thousands of entrepreneurs make informed financial decisions for over a decade. Today, we're going to be talking about why business needs this budget style, why you need to forget everything you thought you knew about budgeting, and how this process will help you finally stick to the budget once and for all. Now, I'll never forget one of my first budgets that I did with a client here at Kickstart Accounting Inc. Cindy had been consistently growing her business over the last few years. She had seen growth. However, over the past 12 months, it had hit a flat lull. And when Cindy and I approached the budget during our budget call, she had braced herself thinking, okay, I know I'm not doing well. And Danielle's about to tell me all the places where I have to stop spending money. She came in looking exhausted before we had even started. Cindy didn't know how to get her business out from that lull back into high growth mode so that she can hit her goals. She approached budgeting, like I hear so many of our other clients approach budgeting, as a diet, right? As a way of eliminating spending, the way of eliminating things from her business where she felt trapped and couldn't continue to grow her business the way that she wanted to. The way that we do traditional budgeting is broken, right? Today, when business owners and individuals think about budgeting, we think about cutting back on spending. We think about limiting our expenses. We think about depriving ourselves and our businesses of the necessary resources that we need just to maintain and to grow. Budgeting isn't about cutting back or putting your business on a diet. It's about being intentional. If we can stop focusing on cutting costs and limiting expenses, we can start to think about our ability to invest in new opportunities, the way that we want to drive growth in our business. So when we think about cutting back on spending, no wonder we hate budgeting, right? Because when we think about cutting back on spending, we think about, oh, I'm not going to be able to go after growth opportunities. I'm going to feel guilty when I invest in my business. I'm not going to be able to truly embrace my money mindset. I'm not going to be able to hit my goals if I'm constantly cutting back. And most importantly, when we cut back on spending, we put ourselves as a business owner at risk for burnout. When we are eliminating software, tools, and people, we're putting ourselves at risk because we as the business owners take back on those tasks and those issues within our business. So cutting back on spending prevents us from going after growth opportunities. It makes us feel guilty when we invest in our business. It holds us back from healing our money mindset. Cutting back on spending keeps you from hitting your goals. And it keeps you doing everything in your business because you don't feel like you can afford to hire help or invest in software that is going to lead you to a place of burnout. Now, I know I'm not selling budgeting over here because I think our traditional way of looking at budgeting is broke. But what do we do, right? What do we do if the old style of budgeting is no longer working for business owners? Where do we go? Well, here at Kickstart Accounting Inc., we use the goal-oriented budgeting approach. This method is all about aligning your spending with your budget goals and your intentions for the year. So instead of focusing on restriction, You can create a spending plan that supports your objectives. The whole time when I was writing this episode and thinking about this, I kept on thinking about going on a diet, right? Like the minute that we go on a diet and we're depriving ourselves of the food that we really want to eat. I keep on picturing eating salads over the foods that we enjoy and feeling deprived in life. And we are not meant to feel deprived. We are meant to feel fulfilled in both our personal and our business lives. So what does this all mean, right? Where do we go from here when we think about the goal-oriented budget approach? I want to describe it at a high level, and then we'll go into the specific action steps. At a high level, we need to start by setting clear, actionable goals for our business. Now, I want you to get really specific. This might mean that you're going to expand your market, you're going to launch a new product, you want to improve your customer service, you need to hire new team members. Your budget needs to reflect on where your business is going over the next 12 months. However, how often do you hear about goal setting for business? I want us to go deeper than general goal setting. I want us to think very specifically about where you want to go as the business owner. I want you to leave at the door what you should do, air quote, should do in your business. What are the other people in your industry doing? All right. I want you to let all of that go. Where do you, as the business owner, want to see your life over the next 12 months? What is your intention for your business? And what do you want your role in the business to be? Now, once we have a clear vision of who we are and where we want to go as an individual, we can start to think about where we want to set sights for our business. You don't have to go into a new market. You don't need to rebrand your website. You don't have to launch a new product. You don't have to hire anybody you don't want to hire. Your budget needs to reflect your goals on where you want to go as an individual, including how much you want to pay yourself in order to hit your personal financial goals. We'll get back to the show in 1 second, but real quick, are you an entrepreneur or business owner struggling with the complexity of tax deductions and salary structures for yourself? It's common to feel lost in the maze of tax regulations and unsure about how to effectively pay yourself from your business. Navigating these challenges can be daunting, leaving you with more questions than answers. But what if there's a way to simplify this process, ensuring you maximize your deductions and set up the most beneficial compensation strategy for yourself? That's exactly what our guide on the top tax deductions for every business owner and how to pay yourself as a business owner are for. These resources are designed to demystify the essentials, helping you understand and leverage tax deductions, and outline a clear, effective strategy for your salary as a business owner. Through these guides, you'll learn the key deductions you shouldn't miss, strategies for tax-efficient salary and owner's draws, and much more, ensuring you're financially optimized and compliant. So if you're ready to take control of your financial health with confidence, head over to kickstartaccountinginc.com/gift or click the link in the show notes and download your free resources today. Okay, back to the show. Now, when we use this type of budget approach, we're going to give you guardrails. They're limits on spending, but it's also going to give you permission to invest money where it counts. So if your goal is to increase brand awareness, we will then allocate funds to marketing in order to support your brand awareness, right? We're going to allocate dollars specifically to what your goals are as an individual. We need to have flexibility in order to grow and thrive as business owners. So I like to think of budgeting as guardrails to our spending rather than limitations on our spending. It's permission to invest, but within our guardrails so that we are investing in the right areas in our business. So what are the very specific steps that you can use to implement this approach? We're going to be doing a webinar where we're going to go through each one of these categories in detail together with your fellow business owners and listeners. If you're interested in doing this exercise together, I want you to go to kickstartaccountinginc.com/2025 to learn more about how we're going to do this process together. All right. First step is to determine your historical annual growth. I know we get really excited. I'm a visionary at heart, and I get really excited to visualize the future, right? I don't want to spend a ton of time over where I've gone. I'm terrible at celebrating our wins. As soon as we get to our goal, I'm like, all right, perfect, awesome. On to the next goal. So I know so many of our clients and listeners share that in common with me. However, before we can really look to where we want to grow the business in the future, we need to look backwards. And this is why bookkeeping is so important. We have to be able to look backwards at our growth and our spending before we can look to the future. So I want you to determine your historical annual growth for the last 3 years, if it's applicable, right? Like if you just started your business, it'll be growth maybe month over month, quarter over quarter. However, I want you to go back as far as 3 years if you're able to. What is your annual average growth rate? Because as we're looking to the future, I don't want you to set a growth rate of 40% growth, but the last 3 years, you've only been growing at 10%. So we really need to have a specific, realistic reason for thinking that our growth rate is going to go from 10% to 40%. So let's look backwards so that we can use that information to help guide us into the future. Step 2, we're going to determine our historical spending. This is really important. And I want you to look at your financials. If you're a Kickstart Accounting Inc. client, you receive your financial statements and your monthly snapshot at the end of each month. So review your snapshot and review your financial statements. Where have you been spending money historically? And I want you to really spend some time reflecting on your financials. Determine if your current spending trends are healthy, right? I want each of you to be able to run healthy, sustainable, profitable businesses. So we need to determine if our current spending trends are within the healthy ranges. You can go to kickstartaccountinginc.com/healthy to download our worksheet to determine each spending category and compare them to the healthy percentages. We need to spend time as business owners reflecting on our financials. And that's, again, why we're doing this webinar this year, so that we can spend that time reflecting and connecting together as business owners, reviewing our trends as to where we've been and using those reflection tools to guide us to our goals moving forward. So use this time to really think about what's working in your business, what's not working, what's affecting your energy. Uh, what team members do we have? Are they the right people in the right seats? Really think about how you have invested in your business over the last year. All right, step 5. What are your goals for the next 3 years? I know before you start a budget for the next 12 months, I'm going to ask you to look into the future. Where do you see yourself in the next 3 years? And sometimes as individuals, it helps me to think about, where will my kids be, right? Like, how old will my kids be? How old will I be? What stage of life, what season of life will I be in 3 years? Because our personal lives affect so much of our business. We are not leaving our personal lives at the door to step into business. So thinking about where I'm going to be personally and where my kids and my family's going to be at in 3 years helps me really think about, what are my goals 3 years from now? All right. The next step is to think about, where do we see ourselves in 12 months? Now, I love the power of visualization. So if it feels right for you, maybe you can spend a few moments just closing your eyes and being really creative. Like, let your mind wander like you're a child, thinking about, where in 12 months will you personally be? Where will your kids be? Where will your family be? Where will you be personally? And then where do you want to see your business? So in 12 months, when you sit back again and you reflect on this budget process, what will allow you to really celebrate? When you look back, how will you know that you got there? How will you feel inspired to celebrate this win? All right, once you have visualized that, I want you to plan your revenue goals. Before we can start thinking about spending, we need to map out our revenue. Where do we want to see our revenue in 12 months? Again, if we've only grown the business by 10% each year, then you might want to consider that we'll grow the business again by 10% this year. So we might not grow by 30, 40, 60% growth. Maybe we'll grow by 10% again. Now, if you had record growth last year, what did you do last year to create that momentum and growth? And can you count on that continuing? Right. So just because you grew by 40% the last few years doesn't mean that it's going to continue. So, what happened in the market? And I say what happened in the market because so many of our clients in different industries have experienced large growth, right? Like lots of cyclical cycles from COVID and the way that COVID has impacted our spending across the board and across different industries. Once we have our revenue goals, we can start to create a spending plan. Now, our spending plan, we're going to go line by line of our income statement. So you can do this on your own by going to QuickBooks Online and pull your profit and loss by month for the last 12 months. Now you can go line by line to look at your income statement and those spending categories to create the spending plan for the future. Now we're going the next 12 months. Again, if our goal is to increase revenue, let's say by 30% this year, we need to create the spending plan that is going to allow us to hit those revenue goals. What marketing initiatives are we going to have in place? What consultants are we going to work with? What paid ads do we need to run? Maybe referral payments, customer gifts, right? Where do we need to spend money to ensure that our revenue can continue to grow? And then who do you need on your team in order to support that growth? Who will help you serve your customers as you continue to expand and grow your business? So we can't forget to create a spending plan for our contractors, our employees, and the growth of our team. Next, we need to plan our cash. Now, I don't want you to forget that you as a business owner have the ability to take owner's draws. You might be an S corp and you need to pay yourself a reasonable compensation, which will be included in the P&L and the income statement. But we also have the opportunity to take owner's draws. When we take owner's draws or pay down debt, it has no impact to our income statement. So the next thing we need to do is to plan what cash will be removed from the business in owner's draws and in debt payments. All right, our last step is to determine how will you use your budget moving forward. Our budget can't be like one of those corporate records that we keep in a binder or in a desktop somewhere. We need to use our budget in order for it to serve a purpose for us as business owners. Just because we do the budget one time doesn't mean we get an A plus, right? It's work that we have to do month over month. So I encourage you to work with your money team so that your money team can help you present your budget compared to actual results every single month. You, as the business owner, have the ability to compare what actually happened to your budget at the end of each month. Talk to your money team about pulling this budget into their QuickBooks or whatever system that they're using for you so that you as the business owner can compare what actually happened to what you thought you were going to happen. The power of using a budget is when you can start to think about making your future investments with your budget. When you can pause, right? Like practice the pause in your spending to think, before I make this investment in my business, before I spend money here, what will be the impact to my financials? What will be the impact to my budget? How much have I already spent in this category this year? And do I have dollars left to allocate to this spending in this current month, right? Is my revenue higher than where I thought it was and therefore I have extra money to spend? Is my revenue less than where I thought it was going to be and therefore I need to cut back on my spending? Use your budget to make investments in your business every single month of the year. I promise you guys, this tool is profound. If you can implement this tool as a business owner, this sets you up for success as the CEO of your business. I love budgeting, and this is how I make every single business decision here at Kickstart Accounting Inc. When my team asks me to allocate dollars throughout the year, they know my answer is always going to be, hold on, let's check the numbers. Let's see how we've been doing throughout this year so that we can continue to generate a healthy, sustainable, profitable business. Now, I know that this is a lot, and I want to invite you to the webinar with us so that we can do this together. Like I said, I love budgeting, and I want you to be able to use this tool to set you up for success. I have a favor to ask. If you have gotten any value from this show and you want the show to continue to grow and keep providing you with strategies for financial growth and efficiency, simply leave us a rating and review if you're listening on Apple or Spotify. Those reviews really go a long way in attracting more listeners, and honestly, they really make my day. So if you're feeling up to it, we'd love to see a rating and review from you. Either way, thanks so much for listening to the show.